If you follow these rules, you're going to become a better landscape painter. Hello friends, welcome to a new video. My name is Emilio and today I'm gonna show you these rules that are gonna help you become a better painter. So if you want to do some landscape and you have no idea where to start, I'm gonna help you with this video and I hope this really works for you. Just remember that if you're working with oil painting, digital painting or whatever medium you are using, it doesn't matter. These rules still apply for absolutely any technique or anything you're working on. So let's go watch this video and I hope that you find it very helpful. So we're going to call this landscape painting with the masters because I'm going to show you the rules and then we're going to see some paintings from really good painters that maybe they used this rule or maybe they didn't, and we will see if this is actually a good rule or not. So let's start from the beginning. We need to find three things in our paintings when we are doing landscape paintings. So we need to find the upright planes. This can be trees, this can be buildings, this can be anything that is in a vertical position. So it can be a wall, a tree. Most of the time it's going to be a tree, because when we are in nature, most of the time we are going to see trees out there. So the other thing we have to find is horizontal planes. These most of the time will be our floor. This can be also the roof of a building. If it's a flat building, then this might be another thing that we will find as a horizontal plane. And then for lastly, we have our inclined planes. And these most of the time are going to be the mountains at the back that we see when we do landscape painting, but they can be also the same terrain where our floor is. Then it can have some inclination. So now what? Now we know these things. Now we know there's a tree and it's a vertical plane. We know that there's a horizontal plane and we have an inclined plane. Now what? Then we have to follow these rules. So most of the time our upright planes, this is our vertical plane, it will have the darkest shadows. So when we are painting the trees, we need to make sure we paint the trees with the darkest shadows, okay? So this is very important. And then the other thing we need to know is that the light side, so we don't want the shadow, right? We need the light side of our tree. So basically the light side, this is our shadow. It's going to be the dark, really dark. And then this part, it's going to be brighter obviously than the shadow, but it won't be as light as in other places, okay? It's not going to be as light as in the horizontal plane or in the inclined plane. So this is our darkest light in our scene. So basically the tree should have the darkest shadow and then it's going to have the darkest light, okay? So far so good, right? Now let's go to the horizontal plane. Now the horizontal plane will have a lighter shadow, okay? It will be a lighter shadow than the upright plane. And then we will have a really bright light. So we will have so this is the example. We have our floor here. This is going to be our flat plane, our horizontal plane. And we have a lighter light, okay, and then we have a lighter shadow. So very important and really simple. If you actually think about it, it's really simple. We have a vertical plane with dark shadow, dark light. We have a horizontal plane, lighter shadows, lighter light, okay? And then we are going back to our inclined planes, and these shouldn't be as dark as the vertical planes, and then it shouldn't be as light as the horizontal plane. So it's gonna be like in the middle. So it shouldn't be as dark and it shouldn't be as light. Really simple. If you're following, then we're all good because this is all you actually need to know. So we have our example here. This is our tree. This is our vertical plane. And remember, dark shadows and dark light. And remember that our light is coming from this side, okay? So this is our sun. This is our light. So that's why we have the light over here. Okay, and we have our shadow over here. Okay, really simple, makes sense. Most of the time, well, the sun is gonna change position. It can be around here or it could be around here, and most of the time it's gonna be like that. If you have the sun here, so basically this is when the sun is coming out, or when the sun is setting, then these rules might not apply. So you have to understand that. Okay, so most of the time this rule is gonna apply in this time frame. Okay, very important. If you really if you want to use this rule, then you have to think about it. Okay, you need the sun to be in a certain position for this rule to apply. So it could be this way, or it could be this way, or sometimes it can be this way, but it might be slightly different. Okay, and then we have our inclined planes. So this is an example, right? This is our inclined plane, and as you can see, our shadows are not as dark as here, but they are not as light as here, and they are not, our light is not as bright as here, but it is also lighter than our trees, okay, than our vertical plane. So hope you're following. So now we need to find out if these rules actually apply or if I'm just lying to all of you, okay? So we are going to have our vertical plane, we have our horizontal plane, and then we have our inclined plane, okay? So remember, we need to find our planes, and the vertical one is pretty simple. It's all these. All these guys are vertical. These are our trees. These are going to be our vertical planes over here. So we must have a really dark shadow over here, and this is our shadow in this case. So let's go, and this is our shadow, and this is our light, and then should be our light, should be this one, okay, and then everything seems fine. We have a really dark shadow we have a really dark shadow, and our light is actually pretty dark, like it's not super bright, okay? Now we don't really have a horizontal plane in this painting, obviously, because this is painted on a mountain, and it's like an inclined terrain. So we will skip the horizontal for this one, and we will go to the inclined plane. Now this is obviously our shadow. This area has more shadow, and this seems to be like the light in our scene. So let's check if our shadow is lighter than in the vertical plane. That has to be the rule, and let's check it out. Check it out, and then we will find our light. Obviously this is our light in here. So far it looks fine, but let's just double check just to make sure. So let's go here, and then we are going to check. So our shadow, as you can see, is pretty dark. So we're really close to black, and this is our white, this is our black. So just make sure this makes sense. So we're really close to black, and we are really far from white. So our shadow in the inclined plane should be lighter than our shadow in the vertical. So let's check that out. Definitely way farther away from the black, and closer to white, obviously. And so this rule is actually applying in the shadow, at least. Now let's go to the light. Our light in the tree is kind of here. Now let's see if the light in our incline should be lighter. Okay, it is definitely lighter. So it works. This rule works for this one. We obviously are missing the horizontal plane, but it doesn't matter because not every single painting will have the 3 planes, right? Sometimes we can have 2 planes, or sometimes we will have the 3 planes. Okay, now let's go to another painting. Let's see. (1870), and the painter was Auguste Renoir. He was a French painter. Also, I really love this painting. This is the kind of painting I like. So let's see if we have our rules here and if they actually are true. So let's go to the vertical, horizontal, and incline. Okay, now let's see. Our vertical obviously is going to be this tree and this tree. Pretty vertical, pretty simple to find. Okay, so we do have this plane in this one. Let's check it out. Let's find the shadows. It's a really dark shadow. It's really obvious. Something around there will have we will have our light. And then we are going to the horizontal, so we should find a lighter shadow and a lighter light. So this is our shadow here. It is definitely, I mean, we don't even need to check, right? Like, this is so obvious. This is way lighter than our shadow in the tree. And this shadow is coming from this tree. So this is this tree casting this shadow. And then our light, well, is this area, pretty obvious. We are going to select. There you go. And again, really obvious. We don't even need to check. This is lighter. This is lighter than this, and this is lighter than this. Now we have the inclined plane. This is going to be our mountain over here. We also have it here. And this should be like an in between these two, okay? Let's check it out. Let's see if I'm actually true. If it's true. So this is our shadow. And then we will find our light. In the vertical plane, it's quite dark. Now let's see in our horizontal plane, way lighter, so it makes sense. And then in the inclined plane, it is kind of in the middle. So this rule actually applies. For the light, it works fine. Now let's check out the shadow. So the shadow is way darker here. Then in our light, it is lighter, so it is actually fine. And the incline should be around here. It's pretty close to the one here in the horizontal plane. So I think it applies, like, it's pretty close. I think it works though. It is kind of the same thing. We're making sure that our incline is not lighter than our floor, so that's working. Also, the shadow is not as dark in the incline as it is in our vertical, so it actually works. So we're really close, obviously, in the shadow with the horizontal, but I think the rule still applies. Like, we are just like really close. And also, if you think about it, we might be clicking on a darker color of the shadow. So I think it applies, it works. And so it's the second 2 of 2. Now let's go to the third one. And this is a city. So now we're in a city. And remember, we're going to be looking for the same thing. We're going to be looking for the vertical, the horizontal, and the inclined plane. So our verticals, really simple. The buildings, really easy to find. We have some verticals here too. And then we have our horizontal, the sea, all these. We also have these, another horizontal. And then we have the incline. And as I told you before, we have the roofs. Okay. And we have roofs over here that are inclined. So these are not flat. These are not flat like the sea. They have an inclination. Okay. So they are not vertical. They are inclined. Now let's check out and let's see if we are right. So let's find our first shadow. Then we will find our shadow in the ocean or in the sea. And now we are going to check the values. Let's see if it's true. Let's see if it is actually a true statement or I'm lying, guys. So let's go here, check it out. And let's see the shadows first. So we're going to shadow of our vertical, super dark. Then the horizontal, really dark too. Like, it is pretty dark, especially in here. If we go farther away, then it's not as dark. But it's not as dark as our vertical, so it is actually true. It is actually, the rule is actually working. And then our incline, it is a bit lighter, definitely lighter than our shadow in the sea. Okay, so I feel it also depends exactly where you grab the shadow. But also it also depends on the object that where the shadow is. So it applies, and then for the light we are going to find the lightest that we have in our vertical. It is quite light, but our horizontal should have a lighter light. There you go. It is way lighter, closer to white. And the inclined, we are going to find, okay, so let's go around here. It is darker than the light in the shadow, and so it is lighter than the light in the vertical, but it is also not as light as it is in the horizontal. So now, so it is actually working. These rules actually work. It's hopefully it is easy to understand. Hopefully you understand all these and it makes sense. And I hope that when you go outside and paint, you can simplify your paintings and remember to make your darkest shadows in the verticals, your brightest lights in the horizontals, and the incline have something in between. And remember, these rules can change obviously depending on the sun, depending on the light, and depending on a lot of things. So hopefully these work for you. Hopefully you understand it. And if you have any comments or any doubts, just put on the comments and I'll be happy to answer and try to help you guys. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe, give it a like, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.